be blind out.
Yeah.
And so I knew what was going on. But these guys, you know, we're talking about medical miracles, right?
Yeah.
So the tax revenue, they fixed it. And when I had my last driver's eye test,
Really?
no glasses or anything.
Wow. Yeah.
So that, you know, the point is that, like you said, what they're doing now in the medical field. You know,
Yeah, that sounds scary to me. My hips, this one was 4 days in the hospital.
One is like.
Should do a signaling thing?
Yeah, it's basically like, you're only supposed to have one pathway for the signaling, but some people have like multiple pathways, that's what I had, so my pulse rate would just go from like 70 or 80 to like 220, like I can just.
Oh my.
Up and down.
He's bipolar.
Yeah, anyways, but, yeah, they go through the groin area, and that, I thought that was, I was expecting.
But.
Oh, once you feel the cold enough, you're like,
Yeah. I mean,
Well, it's
Well, yeah.
that's what it is. It could
Sedative,
be
yeah.
dye or it could be sedative, you know, if it's the dye, you know, you're just there. So are you the architect?
I am.
All right, so you got a couple months to go and you're bailing on us, huh?
I am.
Right straight out, he's straightforward, aren't you?
It's okay.
Well, I read the news, you know, it's okay.
It's not in the news.
Well, it's in.
Oh, it's in the news.
you'll have to like, do the intro to see.
I mean, gotta get you guys to get some new architects somehow.
Yeah, that's the way you get him.
And yeah, so it's all set up right now, and as usual, the internet here is just so slow, so I'm going to turn off the video for now. And also we're having this owl drama again today, so the owl, the device is not working. I checked it like all the connections, it's not working, but we can just use our building microphone and camera. So just please speak up a little bit, just make sure you can capture your voice and your speech, yeah. Okay, let's get started then. Okay, hi everyone. So welcome to San Mateo County Coastside Design Review Committee meeting. The Design Review Committee is establishing the zoning regulations is appointed by the Board of Supervisors. Today is Thursday, February 8th, 2024. Now is 1:35 p.m. The hearing consists of two projects. For better recording quality and orderliness of this meeting, please put your phone on silence, avoid chatting, whispering in the audience, and wait for my prompt before you speak on any matters. This meeting is being audio recorded. There are two opportunities for public to speak, including oral communications for matters not on agenda, and a separate public comment section for each project on the agenda. Please review the agenda to identify which item you wish to speak on at the time of that item. Please limit your speech to 3 minutes or less, or you will be asked to stop speaking after 3 minutes. The chair will open public comment session during the public comment period for oral communication from items not on the agenda, and for each item on the regular agenda. I will first read comments received before the meeting into the record for those who are not present in this meeting. For those attending this meeting in person, speaker forms are available in the rear. So we ran out of our speaker forms, so please use the speaker note to include your name, the item number, and to identify if you're opposed or support a project. And also we would like to have your email or contact information. And please fill out a speaker form and provide it to me before each public comment session. For those on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to raise your hand to speak on an agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Please provide your speaker form, raise your hand, or press *9 on the device before each public comment session, and late speaker requests will not be accepted. Please note that members of the public must wait for my prompt in connection with each agenda item before speaking. Also, you cannot speak on an agenda that's later in this meeting. When you hear your name or last four digits of your phone number call, I'll prompt you to come to the front or unmute your account, then inform that you may begin speaking. I'll then ask you to state your name for the record. For those joining by phone, pressing *6 will mute or unmute your microphone. The design review committee's decision for item 1 and 2 today, if any, will only be recommendations regarding project compliance and not the final decision on the project, the decision of which will take place at a later date. The CDRC does not review matters related to zoning standards, local coastal policies, and general plan. It will only review projects based on design review guidelines and standards. Depending on scale and scope of changes, continued projects may be placed on the next month's agenda if revisions are submitted to the county by the end of business day, Friday, February 16th, 2024. Applicants should know that continuous letters may not be ready by that date and are encouraged to take notes of today's committee's feedback. The next CDRC meeting will be held on Thursday, March 14th, 2024. Item 1 is the roll call. Rebecca Getkin,
Present.
James Bennington,
Yeah.
Mark Stegmeyer,
Here.
Mark Dean,
Here,
Julia Martinez.
Who?
Julia Martinez.
Oh, it's Julianne.
Yeah, Julian.
He's not.
Julian,
He's
Julian,
not.
yeah. So, so this is our new member. He's not here today, but he has done the oath and all the process to become a alternate representative for Moss Beach community. And next one, our new representative from Algornada, Mr. Clinton Miles.
He's not.
He's not here. And I've seen April here. So next,
April
representative
Road.
from Miramar, April Bingham. She's participating online, and I will make her a panelist. Yeah, so later, after the chair report session, we'll allow our new members to do kind of like a brief introduction about themselves. John Statman, not present. Okay, with that, turn it over to the chair.
Good afternoon, members. Today is the Coastside, I'm going to start. Okay, the Coastside Design Review Committee, CDRC, is appointed by the Board of Supervisors to ensure that new development is compatible with the physical settings of the site and visual character of the neighborhood, and provide a platform for neighborhood residents to communicate their concerns for the communities of Montero, Moss Beach, Algornada, Miramar, and Princeton. So we start the demonstration of scale again, but can you guys help me remember what Camille said last time about something being pushed forward about it? Anything like that? Or is that my medication?
Yeah, all I remember is that like concerns from the community, we have received a petition, and now the county we're discussing it internally. And now we have also involved our Orange County manager, Mr. Brassing. So we're working on it. We don't have any like substantial update for committee yet, but we're working on local policy. And also as one of the agenda items today, I will just revisit like demonstration scale policy issues and also like refinement efforts we're taking on in this interim period. So I can go over that either now or later when after the chair.
Okay, well, I guess that'd be fine.
Yeah.
I got another question. So with that, I mean, we're trying to follow the policies that are set forth, and it says that we don't have to have story polls, but the demonstration will be exact and accurate with however they're trying to provide demonstration of scale. And in many cases, it hasn't been so correct. And I can't remember if that's what, I mean, Mark's brought it to our attention several times, but we talked at length last time about how to stop people from coming in, even if it wasn't.
yeah, I think what I recall, or we
Yeah.
last time is.
Yeah.
it sounded like a natural break.
Yeah, no,
But that, as far as what's in our power, or in, I guess our scope to do is just that, you know, the next time a project comes forward that looks like it has a incomplete, demonstration scale. Then we, you know, we consider, continuing the item. Refer it to another meeting. So we hate to make a case out of somebody in particular or a project in particular, but, you know, at some point, we're reviewing a lot of projects where we feel like we don't have all the information presented in front of us to review that project.
Yeah, understood, and I have, so I can just like revisit it, like this entire topic, right now, I think that's more appropriate. So just like, so I have like something here, so, we worked on this internally. As you know, we have like our constraints and also, the demonstration scale policy kind of prevents like planners to like, deem a project incomplete just based on the design review, the demonstration scale. So the demonstration scale, I encourage applicant to use like, tools not limited to renderings, and historicals, and, we also accept like other methods according to the policy. And, so there are like three key terms. One is to scale, it needs to be to scale. The second is, on time. On time means they need to post it 10 days prior to the design review hearing. And also inclusion of adjacent structures. So those are, the three key terms we look at when we review, demonstration scale before, we ask people to post it. And, we strongly encourage them to, provide us with their, drafts, demonstration scale 15 days prior to hearing, so we can provide them with feedback, immediate feedback. However, as, I brought up last time, at a community meeting, it's about our constraint. So the 15-day deadline may something overlap or happen after the incomplete date, because it's not part of the company's review or the package. So that's our limitation. But, we're going to provide comprehensive training to planners. So sometimes we are on like, tight timelines and this like milestones. So we want to train planners properly so we can make this process more seamless. And, so for example, when we determine a project is complete, then we can immediately tell people that, okay, it's this time safe for you to start working on your renderings or your historical. So that will give people more time to, work with us closely to make their projects compliant. So that's one thing we're going to do. And we have had a few meetings internally within our design group, and we will do a training to our planners, probably later this month. So that way we can just make this process better. It's all about improvement. It's like hard to change the policies at this point. So we're doing like, improvement efforts. And, also, the last thing I want to mention is when they, design the demonstration scale material packet, when we receive like something incomplete, or it's like has deficiencies, we provide comments to it immediately, just to point out like, the issues. However, we don't have the authority to, remove their item from the agenda. All we can do is to encourage them to, request a continuance.
do they understand that?
Huh?
They understand that?
You mean planners or the
No.
applicants?
The, captains,
Oh, say that again, please.
that they understand that you don't have the power to remove them or not call something complete, because they're walking in here thinking that they're complete and ready to go, and then their renderings don't show everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're putting it on us to decline them.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I feel like we're ready, like I'm ready to.
That's
So are you, I guess my question is if we like summarily decline people, or if we go ahead since they're here and give them the feedback we can, because if they request a continuance, there's more fees for them, right?
No,
No, even if they show up here today and they have a continuance and they come back next month, are they paying more money?
I can double check our fee schedule,
Mhm.
but, in the past, I don't think we have ever
Okay.
charged people a fee, for continued.
Okay, because I always feel bad, they're like, oh, we're not even gonna review you, and so assuming that that's.
Yeah.
just
It's a good, it's a polite idea is to
I
let
have
them
a
know.
question about
Yeah.
the chip. How do you disseminate this to the neighbors? How soon do they get the notice, and how complete is it to the neighbors? Because that's who we're protecting. theoretically, if.
So for
someone-
neighbors notification, so this is how it works. We neighbors will receive a copy of the agenda and meeting notice about 10 days prior to the meeting. About 10 days prior to the meeting, I can send, I can
What
provide
about,
like.
what about the demonstration scale?
And also 10 days.
Yeah.
Do they get that information ahead of the meeting? Do the neighbors get it ahead or they get it here?
They get it from the county's website.
And a post.
And it's posted
It's
10
posted.
days in
It's
advance.
posted on the property?
Yeah.
Yeah, the issue we've been seeing is that people are coming with demonstrations of scale that don't match our
What they're
idea of
doing.
what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And from what you're saying, so is it correct that it sounds like 2D exterior elevations would comply as long as the adjacent properties are all shown?
Yes, according to the policy, that may be compliant, but if the committee believes that if 2D is not sufficient, or it's like, it doesn't include necessary information for you to make a decision, the CRC will have the authority to request like additional information.
But do we have the authority, if someone gives 2D with adjacent structures shown, to say you're not meeting what's required for
According to the
demonstration?
policy,
scale?
no, but
Yeah.
according to like, the nature of the CRC,
Uh-huh.
like, okay, this is 2D is fine, you cannot like question the 2D.
Mhm.
But you can be like, okay, this requires additional demonstration, different, additional information for us to make a determination. We can't comment on, 2D itself, but we can comment on like the information we see on the 2D rendering.
So now what I'm hearing from you is, if the information that they've provided doesn't show exactly how it's gonna affect one of the neighbors, we can ask for more.
Or affect this,
Yeah, well, and
Right.
frankly,
which is the
3D
same.
renderings are not really to scale.
A lot of renderings are not.
I mean, renderings are, a rendering is not, it's a perspectival representation, so it's more informative visually,
Okay.
but it's not to scale. And speaking as an architect, you know, we measure the buildings we're working on. If we're doing additions, we have surveys. We don't measure, we don't have authority to measure the neighbors' buildings. We have to ask the neighbors or work from photographs or, you know, make assumptions
Yeah.
to try and get that information. So, that's
I see.
challenging to.
But it was in the argument.
Hmm.
It's the whole argument behind the story.
Right, yeah.
It's
The
like,
story
if
poles
you can't make it
yeah.
accurate, then you
Yeah.
gotta put the story.
Yeah,
So,
Well, why, when did we get away from the storyboard?
well, it actually was a one.
2020 policy, there's a county policy that was enacted in 2020 that gave them the option, instead of doing story polls, to do.
To do a rendering?
The wording was recommended, and everybody just did. It wasn't the wording say recommended.
Yeah, wording said like,
The wording just
method-
wasn't there.
Yeah, wording says like, it allows like, with, like,
Required.
multiple methods, not limited to, not
Mhm.
limited to historical. So it gives people like more than a few options.
And so I appreciate the continual improvement, and you guys are doing the staff training. One of the things is, I feel like, there's a lot of work that you guys do on the review of these demonstration of scale that doesn't necessarily get passed on to us until the minute that we, you know, step into the meeting here. Is that, something that can be, you know, I know you're bound by, you know, Brown Act, et cetera, but just, can we, like, when your planners do that review demonstration of scale?
Yeah.
And, like, either have a sign off or have like a, you know, this is an issue that the committee can continue your item.
Yeah.
That information provided to us before the meeting, I think is very helpful.
Yeah,
us,
understood. So when we do feedback or we like comment on this like demonstration scale, and we can, yeah, so that's a good point, but again, I'm not sure if we have the authority to like actually make like legal binding comments on those, demonstration scale policies. And I'll need to work with Camille to see if it's appropriate or if we're allowed to do that. So I can, discuss. with
Yeah,
Camille.
I'll just say, and this is, I'm just taking a step back.
Yeah.
It's just more of a general comment of this committee.
Yes.
Is that, is that by you guys, by your planners telling the applicants that, the committee may do this?
Yeah,
And also, having neighbors, or telling neighbors that your opportunity to comment is at this meeting.
yeah,
Yet, when they come here and they realize that what we're gonna focus on is design review and not so much, you know, construction schedule, noise, all that other stuff, it seems very disingenuous to point them to us and then have us be a buffer for essentially, for the planning commission. We'll do our jobs, but at the same time, I just want to avoid a situation where neighbors are directed to us for things like demonstration scale, and we don't have the authority to really, do that type of analysis on demonstration scale. It extends to like our last months in our secret determination and all that. So I'll just leave that aside, but I just want to make sure that we're not being, really kind of represented as the forum for all this community comment when we really can't. That's not.
Yeah, so the issue is about demonstration scale, that's really like within the purview of CDRC. So CDRC will have to kind of respond to like some of the community response. But at the same time, CDRC members will have the right to just tell the applicant or like the community members about your constraints or your like the issues like around like the this like demonstration scale policies. So that's, yeah, giving out like the statements will help like help with the public engagement process and the public comments processes. So that's a recommendation from us. And again, we're working on like, as you may know, we're working on like the demonstration scale policy, like maybe an update, we're discussing it. So it's taking time. So once that's once that's ready, then we should be able to address like many concerns that a committee may have. But at this point, I mean, it's still within the purview of CDRC, and we can just give our statement just to help people understand the authority and the purview of CDRC, and also the constraints and struggles.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's not a perfect plan, but that's something I cannot think of anything we can do at this point to kind of help the community. And yeah, again, like I mentioned, we'll do staff training as much as possible. So staff will have enough information, and this is enough information when there's incomplete demonstration scale, and the planner can chime in and provide some information from a planning advisory perspective.
Yeah, and there hasn't been that obvious project where I think the last one we had a project that didn't have like a sufficient demonstration scale, but it's a one-story building.
Right,
So we're like, okay, we'll review it, but at some point you have to.
Well, like Rebecca said, we can like go through and give the comments, but say you can't, we're not gonna vote on it.
Yeah.
Come back with a proper demonstration of scales that everybody can see and then do it.
Yeah, and I feel like as community
Because everybody sees it.
representatives, that's, if I were a neighbor, I'd be pretty annoyed. I thought it was gonna be one thing, and it really turns out to be something else. right?
Yeah, we never had a problem getting things back. Someone was doing something that was way off base.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also when the committee finds it's necessary to continue a project, then as long as you're making that decision based on the code and within your purview, then yeah, then you shouldn't get discouraged to do that.
Okay, I'm just gonna quickly go through the rest and then we'll
Okay,
hit
great.
that. Planning commission approved of those. So, we probably don't have any, idea whatever happened to C1, purview on commercial.
Again, that's part of the long-range planning work plan, and Camille is trying to just get those items on the work plan. But I haven't had any update. So the latest update I had from Camille is Camille had a meeting with our long-range planning manager to discuss this item. But since then, I haven't received any updates on these matters.
Okay. And I'm assuming the online petition for the demonstration scale is the one that you started? Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have received that, and we're well aware of the urgency and also the community's needs for better or like improved demonstration scale policies. We're well aware of that.
Who's gonna train you?
Camille.
No, you're having more training. I'm sorry. It was a joke. It didn't go.
Yeah, actually, I do get training regularly from my supervisor. Yeah,
Oh.
we do.
Who's your supervisor?
Camille.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So.
Very good. And the recommendations to the appeal committees that have done that. So we have a couple of new board members. You have met with Julian already, right?
I spoke with him over the phone, but I never met me in person.
Oh, I thought you did a training thing.
No, that didn't happen between two of us. Camille actually provided training
Oh.
to Julie. Yeah, and this is we, do you have like any other items? So we have like.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Okay.
I think, well, just the sequel, but I guess we'll just do that. We were talking sequel last time, we need to wrap that up at some point. But yeah, so we can go on, is there any members of the public, I'd like to open the floor to members of the public.
Actually, so it would be great if we can let the new members introduce themselves, including, Jim, right?
Yeah.
Jim and, also April. Yeah, so Jim, you want to go first?
Sure, I've lived in Montero since, '89. My oldest boy lives in Moss Beach, he's 41. I've always been involved in public affairs out here in some way or another, and so I used to be on this board, a long time ago, and I'm back again. Help the community figure things out.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, welcome
thank you.
to the CRC. And, yeah, we have April, she's on Zoom with us.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, April.
Hi.
Hi. So my name is April Bingham. I moved to the community in 2019 from Australia, though originally a Californian. And my husband has recently purchased the barn on Highway 1. If you haven't visited us, we'd love to have you there. But we finished a major remodel and had the opportunity to attend the Coastside design review as part of that remodel. And then a friend of mine said that Miramar was underrepresented. And I thought, well, let's go see how this is, because actually I did have a very positive experience with design review and wanted to take the opportunity to give back.
Okay.
Great, yeah, welcome to the CRC.
When are you gonna come in person?
Well, today, so I manage governance boards for Roche Pharmaceuticals. And today I had a couple board meetings immediately before, so I didn't have the chance to, even though I'm working from home, run over to El Granada, but hopefully next time.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
and
April.
Good to see that we're having more people serving the CRC. And just for everyone's information, CRC members, they're mostly volunteers, so they don't get like regular compensation for being here. So kudos to all CRC members for sacrificing their own time. Okay, and now we are, okay. Okay, now, Mark, do you want to open up for public comments?
I do.
Okay, so per chair, we're now opening public comments for oral communications for matters not on agenda. For those attending this meeting in person, speaker forms are available in the rear. Please note that we ran out of speaker form, like regular speaker form. Just use the sticky note to include your name, item number, and to identify if you support or oppose the project. And yeah, so if you're on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to raise your hand to speak on an agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. When you hear your name or last four digits of your phone number called, I'll prompt you to come to the front or unmute your account and inform that you may begin speaking. I'll then ask you to state your name for the record. For those joining by phone, pressing *6 will mute or unmute your microphone. As mentioned earlier in this meeting, please limit your speech to 3 minutes or less. And again, this public comment session is for matters not on the agenda. I'll provide a few more seconds just in case someone would like to raise their hand or provide their speaker slip to me. Okay, Chair, I don't see any raised hands. Please indicate if you would like to close public comment.
Like, public comment?
Okay, great. Okay, now we are on time. We're at 2:01. And that's when our first item begins. And that's item 1. And in El Granada, the community representative, if I remember correctly, that would be Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And we have our applicants and homeowners here. Yeah, so feel free to move the chair. Sorry, I didn't set up like
Oh, that's great.
yeah, it's like we can like present so the board can see like the screen better.
Okay. Glenn, while you do that, just for everyone's sake, just a little bit on our process. You know, we'll I'll read through the item here on the agenda, and And, we give the applicants and others a opportunity to just to present their projects, if you will. Yeah, it's a, let's call it a fairly open forum to present what we thought this about. And then we will to questions that the myself or the architect on the side would have. And then we open up for public comment, and then we go to discussion in your item. And then at the conclusion of that discussion, we turn it back to you to see if you would like us to take a vote on the item or continue that. And continuance is essentially just going back to the drawing board, and bringing the item again in front of the committee at a later time. So this item is from owner Amelia Cerezo, and my apologies if I butchered that. Applicant is from Jeffrey Campton. Again, apologies if I butchered that. This is for 378 Avenue Granada, over here in El Granado. And this item is for a consideration of the design review permit recommendation to allow the construction of a 441 square foot addition, including a new third floor and second floor addition, an existing 2-story, 827 square foot single family residence on a developed 3,594 square foot parcel associated with a staff level coastal development permit. A coastal development permit is required as the subject parcel is non-conforming in size. The project involves only minor grading and no tree removal. The CDRC will not render a decision, but will make a recommendation regarding the project's compliance with design review standards. Staff will make a decision on the DR permit and CDP after February 8th. The project is not appealable to the Coastal Commission, and the application was deemed complete on January 16th, 2024. Okay, I will hand it over to the owner.
Yeah, and before that, sorry, Mark, sorry to interrupt. And yeah, I just want to read the project number into the record. It's PLN 2023-00323. And now I'm the project planner, and my email is identified in the agenda. Okay, now it's for the applicant to make a presentation about the project.
Sure. So Jeffrey Campbell, the architect. I don't really have much of a presentation, as I think it's fairly self-explanatory, but it's essentially just a second story addition to, well, the one clarification, as you mentioned, it's a 3-story house, and I'm not sure technically if it would be a 3-story house. I think it's a single-story house currently. There is a garage on the lower level that is not connected and it's detached from the main house. So the main house is a single story. We would be adding a second story to that. So you can see there's there's still 3 levels.
Yeah, so it's on a slope, so that's just a descriptive, yeah, so it won't affect.
It won't affect the project. It could, yeah, for building.
Yeah,
building
so
permit.
it can be like 2-story or 3-story just by different definition or different perspective.
Got it, okay. Yeah, so fairly modest addition ultimately in terms of square footage to an already owned home. The existing home is over the setback, on the side setback and the front setback. As part of the project, our intent is to push the existing sidewall of the main floor over just enough so that is not non-conforming anymore. And then the second story will go straight up off of that. So it gets it out of non-conforming, at least on the side setback, but also it allows us to have a straight wall going down for structural reasons. All of the new floor is within the setback as well, the second story, all of the addition, so we're not further creating a non-conforming condition. It's already non-conforming in front. The intent of the addition is to unify the structures. There's essentially 2 very disparate structures right now. Because the upper floor, the new upper floor, is not allowed to come all the way to the front setback and the other side setback. We delineated it with a different material, but created an eave on top that mimics the footprint of the existing main house. So that it's as if it raised up and the new roof, is in the same shape or is in the same footprint as the main house. Additionally, we used a series of materials to connect the new upper level to the garage level and the new guardrail that would be above the garage, where there is a deck, and then the main level would be in a horizontal siding that is stayed. It's actually a great color. Yeah, I think that pretty much describes the intent of the addition.
Okay, great. Then the next CRC will ask you questions, clarifying questions.
We'll open up to
Okay.
the architect to start.
The eave that's projecting over the second floor, how far does that project into the front setback?
It varies because the front setback is slightly curved.
Mm-hmm. Is it more than 2 feet anywhere? And if you don't mind, while you're looking that up, I'll just keep going. So do I understand correctly that you are you rectifying the nonconformity on the side setback, but leaving the nonconformity on the front setback for the first story? Okay. And the planner, I guess you're here, so I can just ask you, that's determined to be allowed even though they're changing the fenestration on that wall. The wall is where the wall is, so that's an existing.
Yeah, that's
Non-conformity.
existing, so we did have some internal conversation about it, and we determined that they're not very important. So they're, even though they're doing like some repair or like some renovations, affecting the non-conforming portion of the house, and they're still fine.
Okay.
You're not subjecting that to the conformance because of the existing.
Yeah, it's existing.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just asking because typically, like, if you touch something, then you have to bring it into conformity, but I can see the argument that that wall is that wall, and then it's really onerous on homeowners if they have an existing home and we're now asking them to like reduce it. It's already quite a small home.
Yeah. It's a tricky lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It moved up very quickly right behind the house, so any, we're fully bringing it in conformity would touch a very steep portion of the lot. And the eve would, I don't have an exact
Mhm.
dimension, but I think it's about 2 feet, 2'6"
Okay.
within that area.
I mean, I think 2 feet
Yeah,
is
2
what's
feet.
permitted,
yeah,
and, I don't know if you feel like it would, I don't know if you feel like that line aligning with the wall below is critical to the integrity of the design, but, typically 2 feet would be the maximum that we would permit.
I'm just having trouble finding the sheet, but that's something, CRC can comment on, and we can work, as a planner, I can work with the architect just to make sure it's compliant. I'm pretty sure it's compliant, but let's just keep note of
Yeah.
that.
I think 2 feet would be fine, even if it isn't specifically on top of the,
Okay.
of the main house, especially in the front. If we were to change the size, it would probably create a little more.
Okay.
Change the intent of the design a little more.
And the rendering looks like the existing concrete wall and stairs and stuff they're all white in the rendering. Is it proposed that they're being resurfaced or painted, or is that just the way the rendering?
There's a remain.
Theirs remain, okay, as exists. Is there, the siding is called out as gray stained, natural horizontal wood siding. Is that the existing? The existing looks like it's painted, not stained.
No, it would be new siding.
And so would it be do you have a spec for the stain, or would it be like an opaque or a semi-trans stain? I'm just trying to get a sense of.
Yeah, we don't have a specific spec right now, but I think semi-transparent would be best.
Okay.
Some of the wood would still translate.
Okay. Do you
Yeah.
have any while I'm looking around? to see
Yeah,
if
sure.
there's a
No
few?
problem. I can jump in. So, just, then if you go to A2.0,
A2.0.
yeah. So we have it's called the altered west side elevation. So,
Oh, should be this one here.
2000, yeah. So there seems to be, angles to the different stories and levels, and the windows, look like they may not be completely rectangular. I'm not sure. Parallelogram.
That was my
Yeah,
other, yeah, are they
parallelogram.
parallelogram windows?
Yeah, it is a question, and just maybe if you can talk about the design aesthetic of, different angles. So I wasn't sure if it was just maybe not.
It was mostly a
I
compositional,
had that.
like, it was mostly a compositional, decision, to create a little bit of added, ceiling space in the bedroom area internally. But also, I think the intent of the roof lifting off of the main house read, clear with with the rate condition of the windows and
So it's a cathedral roof on the interior.
correct,
And are those, so those are all fixed windows?
yes.
And you said that they're parallelograms.
Yeah.
Seems tricky to acquire,
Tricky to what, I'm sorry?
to
Acquire,
purchase.
yeah, is that a shape, is that a standard shape you've sourced?
Well, I've done rake windows plenty of times, which is
Mhm.
just an angle on the top.
Mm-hmm.
These would be aluminum windows. All
Mhm.
aluminum windows are created custom
Mm-hmm.
through shop drawings, so they,
No, I don't.
definitely work.
This is not really within our purview, but I was curious, so it's a clarifying question. In the bathroom upstairs, is that a tub shower or just a tub?
It's a tub.
Okay, so there's no one to be standing there. And what's the sill height on those windows? Because the two middle windows are over the tub, yeah?
Correct. I'm not sure exactly. I think they would be about 2 foot or 2'6", something in.
And they're clear glass or are they opaque? Okay.
Yeah, that would be a consideration.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was a privacy concern. It's not really in our purview to talk about how you program the interior, but
So
I noticed, so I thought I'd ask. It's just here, so,
property aside.
no, that's the front. The bathroom's on the front of the house or the back? Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's two pretty big street facing windows right over the tub, which, I'm not gonna tell you what to
No,
do, but we
I
might
totally
want to talk
got it.
about it while we're talking about the design.
Would there be any issue with making them half or fully, translucent?
No,
I can make that.
I might request it, but
Okay.
I mean, it's really yours, but I would not have a problem with that. No, I would think that might be appropriate. Anything else you wanted to?
Not questions, but yeah, I'll save things for the discussion.
I think.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I
go
take
for
it
it.
back. So I think somebody might have, as far as the daylight plane, I didn't see any conflict with the daylight planes, and is that something that's?
Is the daylight, are you compliant? It looks like it's on sheet 8 2.0.
Yeah, so
They're
I'm
well under the.
Yeah, they're well under that.
Okay.
They're well under that.
And
Just
then,
change, of course, as it slopes up, but essentially.
on the, I guess this is the downhill side, I'm not looking to see my cardinal orientation. Where the second story is in line in plane above the first story, but you're transitioning from one material to another, how are you delineating that transition on the wall?
On the wall?
Yeah, on the exterior facade, so on the right-hand side, of the view we're looking at on the screen.
Right, we haven't quite detailed that out yet, but I would think that it would be not quite flush, and there would be some sort of flashing detail in
Okay.
between to, to at least create some separation
Okay.
between the two.
Well, that is it for clarifying questions.
Okay, Glenn, I think we open it up to questions before we start our discussion, correct? Or is it?
We also
discussion?
have for public
Yeah,
comments.
I'm sorry, public.
Comments, then, we will become the discussion section. Okay, so, we're now opening up comments for item number 1. No correspondence was received prior to this meeting. For those attending this meeting in person, speaker forms are available in the rear. Please provide me with your speaker slip immediately. For those on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to raise your hand to speak on this agenda item. For those joining by phone, pressing star 9 will indicate your desire to speak. Please provide your speaker form, raise your hand, and press star 9 on your device immediately, and the speaker form or request will not be accepted. When you hear your name or the last 4 digits of your phone number called, I'll prompt you to come to the front and or unmute your account, then inform that you may begin speaking. I will then ask you to state your name for the record. For those joining by phone, pressing star 6 will mute or unmute your microphone. I have received no speaker slip and we have no raised hands. I will just provide a few more seconds just in case someone wants to raise your hand on Zoom. Mark, I do not see any raised hands from Zoom participants. Please indicate if you'd like to post a public comment for this item number 1.
Yes, I would like to close public comment for this item, and, we'll roll into our discussion for this item.
Yeah.
That figure.
See,
I guess we'll start with the intro discussion.
okay, Mark was just asking about the insulation on the.
Seems like you'd have to have a bigger page.
It does, although if you look at, if you pull up A 3.0, there's a building section. Mark, who's on the committee but not a voting member today, right, but is builder, was questioning whether the roof sandwich is thick enough to allow for the spray foam insulation, but the roof that you have expressed, it looks like you've, yeah, you see it's thicker.
Well,
Yeah.
I was thinking that they're gonna be exposed for
We do-
up there. but-
Yeah, we do a lot of work on high-clears, and it's kind of a similar situation where the eave isn't above living area, so we're able to keep it thin at the eave areas and then thicken it once it gets over.
Mhm. And I do that sometimes, but I usually do it the other way, so the ceiling drops down, but I guess with the angle of the slope, you wouldn't see, so there's actually a jog, and you've done that on Eichler projects?
Yeah, and it also creates a kind of a custom gutter in a way for the, for the drainage, in order to control that and keep.
So that's where your gutter is, where those two meet, interesting, yeah, because you won't see it from the street. Okay, sorry, did you wanna?
Well, just the overhang of the left-hand side compared to on the right-hand side, it seems like it's coming down. I can see that as an architectural detail, but,
Is there deck space out there? There's not, is there?
On the second floor now.
Yeah. Would you wanna see more overhang in the back? Is that what you're imagining?
it just, yeah, it's something that stuck out to me, just about the overhang. Right? I mean, it looks like it's, like if you're gonna go for an overhang, you should go for more, or it seemed like an in between. But I'll add more to the trend.
I mean, I see what you mean from the south side. There's an asymmetry there, but the whole design is asymmetrical, so, I think it's okay. The first, this is kind of an easy one that I wanted to start with, is that, our guidelines call for, one exterior light per door and for the light to be dark sky compliant. So the light that you have shown, there's 3 different models there. 2 of them are up, down, and 1 of them is just down. I didn't see it listed as dark sky compliant, but we would want to condition that it is a product that's listed as dark sky compliant and that it's the down only version. And then there are, I think we're gonna have to kill a few of them. So if we start on A 2.0, which is page 12 of 18, Glenn.
Yeah.
You're showing 1 on either side of the garage door and then 3 at the second level. So the door and NO1 and NO2, those are sliding doors with the operable panels being in the middle, yeah? So the center one seems like probably the one most required for functionality. Is that, and then is N01 a swing door? That's the actual entry door?
No, the actual,
N01 is a window.
yeah, the entry door is a sliding door.
It's a sliding door. So technically, we would want to see only one at the garage and only two at that upper level. You could argue for me that you need all of those ones, but if we were gonna omit some, would you have, which ones are the most important to you to keep?
I mean, I think the two that surround the sliding door on the left is more important, because that's also adjacent to the deck that's gonna be above the garage. The one on the side of the fixed window, all the way on the right. That's-
Okay, there, what about your ways, well, I just wanna look at your front entry steps for a second, or, cause you do kind of.
There is a deck across the whole way there, so
We need to-
it's mostly intended to provide just way going point.
Yeah, I don't wanna, I don't, it does seem like I want it to be light where you walk up the main steps.
Yeah, we should have appeared on the rendering in page 0.1, but.
Yeah.
It's
But it's pretty, they're pretty well called out on so there's five on the front elevation, and then there's two on the side, on a 2.1. Where unless there's a specific function there, the guidelines wouldn't really permit for any. I don't know if that's where trash cans are gonna be, or,
No, it's just to be able to walk around.
okay. And then there are, let's see, there's one on the rear on 2.2.
At the door.
There's one on the rear, so that's fine. So I think what I would probably request is to remove one from the front facade, leaving the option for that to be one by the garage door or one of the upper level ones. That's sort of one more than is technically permitted, but I feel like there's good wayfinding and safety reasons for that. And then to remove both from the south side elevation.
Both, or just keep one for, just to have one? on the side?
I'm open to discussion. I would feel like that's not a place where it's needed.
These are all downlights, right?
Yeah, well, I would be calling
And
them
then-
out as downlights, yeah.
And then, but we've got a lot of stairs there. And
Yeah, so that's why I think on the
I
front,
kind of feel like just leave them, if we can, just for the safety aspect.
yeah, that's why I'm inclined to allow the one extra one on the front so that you could have the three at there, and then maybe to pull one from the garage and 1 to 2 from the side. We could leave it flexible. We don't have any neighbors here, and it's not a high enough concern that a neighbor would probably think to come to the committee for it, but I do think that can be annoying to a neighbor if there's lights on the side of the building that they're seeing all night.
Okay, I'll need some help summarizing it.
Okay.
When we get to the point of making motions, that way.
Yeah.
Stick with the architect.
In principle, we're reducing the number of exterior lights, and then there's also one on the north side. So I think there are 9 right now, and per the guidelines, we would be removing 3 of them, and maybe I'm okay with 1 or 2 of them, but I'd like to bring the number down a little bit. We can review that when we get to the end.
And then specifying dark sky.
Specifying dark sky compliant downlight, yeah, so that we're illuminating the path of travel to get in and out of the house. But not providing, extra illumination on the sides. And then, yeah, I mean, the only other questions that I had were, I would want to condition, I would like to condition the semi-transparent stain to make sure that ends up being wood light and the 24-inch maximum encroachment into the front setback.
Oh, I thought that was the semi-transparent.
Oh, sorry, semi-transparent stain on the gray siding. It's just, the language on sheet, it's page 8 of 18, sheet 8.1 is it's a little vague. The other thing is that the vertical siding is called out as cedar or oak, and I'd like you to pick the species so that we come out of here with a little more clarity on the species and the finish of the wood. Otherwise, I mean, it's a very good sign when we start off talking about
Specific.
lights and stains. I think that you have some bigger issues you want to bring to the bar.
Well, I didn't say bigger issues, but I do want to discuss them, and I think, when I look at view A01, there's a lot of openings on the top, right, and that's right, I guess I'll call it the second story, not the third. On the second story, there's a lot of openings, facing the street, which I understand. And less on the side, obviously, and then, the lower level, there's openings too. The garage kind of stands out for me from, I know it's not a big space, but just, the openings there. That's why I'm, wanted to discuss.
Which openings on the garage?
Well, is that a window there on the, like that,
The black
Yeah.
openings.
that's existing window there, okay. Yeah, maybe it's just the materials, to me, it just, the front reads busy, and, with that in mind, would you guys consider a different color, like maybe a darker color for the stairway, the white stairway, or is that the feature that you really want to call out?
I mean, I think currently in the rendering, it stands out more than it would in reality. It is just concrete right
It's-
now.
So the photo below is the actual.
The photo is what
and
it actually
proposed
looks
color.
like, so it would merge more with the main house color.
Gotcha, it's not a white.
It's a little bit of a tan or.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
sure.
actually kind of like it white, but I mean, it looks crisp and clean, but it's just the rendering,
Yeah, that
Um,
front just feels, I'm just trying to make it less busy.
Really, I mean, one of the things that was in the applicant's presentation, which I agree with, was the sort of trying to tie together the massing by making, I mean, the materiality on the garage, you're basically just skinning the garage in the same material as the upper floor, right? But with is there a different treatment, or they will both have this kind of textured slatted?
Textured slat.
Textured slatted, yeah. So I think that those two volumes have the same finish, and then, the
It's,
main floor is this gray.
Yeah.
there's change the colors, the siding is changing direction, and then there's different openings, and then there's angles to the plan, so it just the composition of it.
Yeah, the intent was obviously to, we're gonna have this addition that's not going to be coplanar with the lower floor, so it was a means to connect it with the rest of the house in a way. Because we do have this garage that sticks out, and that's just, it's kind of the way it is, so we couldn't change the massing of the garage. So that was the means of doing that, with doing something as simple as, just changing the direction of the siding on the main house help, or.
So it's uniform with the other rules.
I actually prefer the other material, well, I prefer, since it is we actually asked for the upper floor to be stepped in, so if you had made it coplanar, we probably would have asked you. to step in
Yeah, we
anyway.
wouldn't have liked it as much. Yeah.
And then, I think that we have a primary siding and a secondary siding, and so I like that they're rotated 90 degrees to each other. I think that where there's difference, let there be difference. On first pass, I wasn't in love with the parallelogram windows either, which is maybe, I think, part of what you're responding to is the different like shapes, but, I mean, I think there's stylistic preferences which are not within our purview, and then I think in terms of the matter of consistency, those are unusual windows that you don't see often, but they're pretty
Yeah, I
consistent.
mean,
They're
I
all the
leave room
same.
For creativity,
um,
for sure, and, you know, and preferences.
I mean, how many window types are there? I feel like is a good question to ask.
Window types being different sizes.
Yeah, different sizes and shapes. We see a lot of projects where a little all over the place in that department. And often ask people to kind of reduce
Sure.
the number. I mean, you do have,
Alignments are really key in our design,
Mhm.
in general, especially working primarily in modern houses. So I think the general, height versus width ratio and alignments at the bottom and top do run.
and I'm seeing, so there's one on the east side that's this sort of split, small window over big window. Let me just go. Let's see if that appears. But that's also something which is in the existing design, right? Yeah, there are some of those already. Did you look at it with raked windows as opposed to parallelograms?
Yeah, we did. I felt it read clearer as a volume with the
Mhm.
parallelogram windows and not something that just skewed off of the main house.
Mm-hmm.
It's just purely like compositional decision though.
I like the way they follow the roof line, I think.
Yeah, it's funny because I assumed when I looked at the rendering that I was just seeing perspective and distortion at first, and I was like, oh, I'm just going for it. I don't have a problem with that. I think it would be interesting. I'm interested to see how it turns out. I do think that, this would be a good time for you, the owner, to consider how you feel about the amount of glazing in your bathroom there, and if you want it to be, opaque. I mean, we can put it as a suggestion as opposed to a condition of approval.
Yeah,
Which would give you the flexibility to not have to decide on the spot. You can always apply a film to a window so that you can make those decisions later. I think it's not a privacy, I'm not worried about your neighbor's privacy. You may have a privacy
I
concern.
think we keep it as a suggestion on
Okay.
that one in particular. Yeah, so I honestly, after going through this discussion, I don't have any particular recommendations for conditions.
Okay.
I like the one design. I think it's in scale with what's adjacent. I drove the area just before the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
It is close to that property on the side, and I think the other picture there, they have these very tall windows. This is the property on San Carlos. They're not at the meeting here, but their view is going to be significantly impacted by this structure. But the property is within height limits. So, but yeah, they're that can be too.
Yeah, well, what is the maximum height? I mean, I think you're well below the 28-foot limit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite modest, and I think it's a really sensitive approach, and
Yeah, scale
and
wise.
really, I mean, a really modernizing that structure. There's a lot of these older homes. I don't know, what year was the home built?
1964.
Yeah, there's a lot of these like cottages and
My neighbor wanted to buy it as his man cave, he said.
yeah. No, I think this is a really nice design. So the conditions that I would be asking for would be the dark sky compliant, downlights only. And I would say, I'm gonna walk through the elevations to eliminate one light from the front facade. I
Wait,
would
remove one light.
remove one light from the front, from the west side elevation. And I would leave that to them to decide whether it's one of the ones at the garage or one of the ones at the other level.
And recommending more.
Yeah, well, I would say we could suggest that they consider reducing the lights further. So we could say, personally, I would like to see one removed from the front, two removed from the south side, and, one removed from the north side, so, but I don't think we need to condition the removal of 4. I think we could find language to say, I would, my suggestion would be to say that we remove 1 from the front and 1 from the north, where I don't think we necessarily need much, there's 2 there.
There's 2 on each side.
There's 2 on each side. You know what, maybe I would just say to reduce by 3 to 5 the number of exterior lights and leave it at that, so they could take them off the side. 5 would be 2 off of each side and 1 off of the front, which would be what the guidelines ask for, only 1 at each door.
Okay, so,
But we could give some grace.
yeah, that's, I guess. At the end of this, if you could summarize if it's a recommendation or a condition. I think we're.
Yeah, I would like to condition the removal of 3 and suggest the removal of 2 more. So that where we're not supposed to have any, we don't allow more than 1, and we suggest that they actually get to the guidelines 0 on the sides where there are doors. And then conditioning the greater specificity in the final application around the species and finish of the species of the vertical siding and finish of the horizontal siding. And I would like the horizontal siding to be semi-trans, so that it doesn't look like a painted finish, so that it still has that wood look, which I think is in keeping with the design intent. And to a suggestion to make the 2 center windows at the upstairs bathroom translucent or partially translucent, so that they have the flexibility to do that if they choose and without having to come back to us for it.
Yeah, so I talked about the color of the stairs, but we're with it being concrete.
If you want to make a suggestion of
No,
something darker?
I think the concrete looks, yeah, compared to the white. You wanted to go the opposite direction.
No, I mean, I think
It's
that
all
I
personal
like the look of the
preferences.
white, but I think that the concrete is, first of all, it's existing, and it's gonna look a lot more neutral than the rendering actually depicts.
And I think where I'm coming from is that, just overall, this is an improvement, I think, to that area, and that structure, so, yeah, we'll leave room for just preferences and interpretations. Okay, should I summarize where I think we are with conditions? And then, I think then at that point, we leave it to you guys to decide if we should move forward with the motion, but.
Yeah, it's always on the applicant to request the vote. We're not gonna go ahead and vote until you say you're ready for us to.
So what I'm summarizing is the conditions here is that we're looking at the condition to remove 3 of the lights total. And this is based on our design review guidelines that talk about the lights on the property. Another condition would be that it's dark sky compliant. There's 3 locations of the lights to Rebecca, like 1 in the front and 1 in the north elevation, and I forgot what the third one is.
On the south elevation, I mean, what the guideline allows for is 1 per door, so we obviously don't want to take them away from doors on the sidewalls where there's no doors. Excuse me, it would be those would be the primary locations.
Okay, so there's those 2 conditions, well, both on lighting. And the third one is really about the specifying this species of the vertical siding. I think it lists oak or cider, or sorry, cedar. My apologies. And then on the horizontal siding is that, do we want to make it a condition that it's semi-transparent stain? I think
Yeah.
you're okay with that, or range, okay. And then as far as recommendations, it would be, and recommendations are things that we suggest to you that take or leave, would be that the front windows where the bathroom is semi-translucent or translucent. And that's,
Or semi, oh,
so opaque, opaque,
Um,
opaque or
yeah, I mean, maybe we should say frosted. Frosted or partially frosted, because then they might wanna go half. Excuse me.
partially frosted, and I think that's it as far as recommendations. With that in mind, I'll hand it over to you.
Quick question, in terms of, specifying the siding, that would just be the set necessary to do on the set of drawings that we would ultimately submit for building permit?
Yes, yes, Glenn will review again when it goes to building, so you can come back to us, yeah.
Then, yeah, I would be okay with that.
Yeah, and also regarding like the, from E encroachment, just work with me directly with that part, yeah. And, so.
And sorry if I'm just gonna make a follow-up point of that, which is, I don't know if it's called for. Typically, what I do when I come through design review is then you'll get a letter from Glenn it'll summarize everything that we've said here today, and then there will actually there'll be pages and pages. And just put it into the drawing set,
Yeah.
the letter.
Yeah, we're not requiring one or the other, it's just specific.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, I mean, we see a lot of cedar around here.
Probably cedar.
Coast, yeah.
So it's better out here.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're.
It's like that good too.
That's good.
So yeah, would you like us to vote?
Yes.
You wanna make a motion, or shall I?
I'll try.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve, or I'll make a motion to recommend approval of this project. With conditions that we had discussed about reducing the number of lights by 3. That dark sky lights need to be utilized. And that the species of the vertical site needs to be specified in the plan submitted to the department, and that the horizontal siding is a semi-transparent stain, with a recommendation as well that the frosted or partially frosted.
I'll second that,
Okay, roll call, Rebecca Catkin,
yes.
Mark Dean,
Yes.
motion passed, congratulations, this is only a recommendation, and you will receive a letter from me regarding the decision, probably between 4 to 6 weeks. And just work with me, if you have any questions. Okay, great, thank you.
Congratulations, nice project.
Nice.
Okay, so we are at 3:44 right now. We'll take a 16-minute break and we'll come back at 3 p.m.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
The project
And just turn, unmute myself, and I see, we have some participants, and, we have Karen and, Mateo.
Yes.
Hi, Karen.
Might be on mute. April?
That's people.
Yeah, no, and that's a, community representative of the CRC. So. Karen, are you, Karen, do you hear us?
Then should I get started here?
Okay, yeah, that's fine, let's go get started.
Okay with you?
No, text her.
Oh.
Oh, go ahead, and we'll text her and make sure she's.
Oh, got it. Okay, Karen's the.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I'll read off I'll just tell those logistics here. But, so this item is, from owner Ruth and Paul Eward, thank you, and the applicant is Karen. This is file number PLN 2023-00028. The location is on Magellan Avenue in Miramar, and this is for APN 048-013-9. So this item is a consideration of a design review permit recommendation for a major modification to a previously approved project of a 2,999 square foot, 2-story single-family residence with an attached 510 square feet, 2-car garage, and detached 652 square foot accessory dwelling unit on an existing 12,424 square foot undeveloped parcel. Certificate of Compliance PLN 2010-00154. This is associated with the hearing level coastal development permit, CDP. The project was recommended for approval by the CDRC on October 12th, 2023. The modification proposes to increase the roof height from 21 feet 10.5 inches to 22 feet 8 inches. The project involves the removal of one significant tree and only minor grading. The ADU is a ministerial project that does not require review by the CDRC. The CDRC will not render a decision, but will make a recommendation regarding the project's compliance with design review standards. A planning commission public hearing on the DR permit and CDP will take place after today. The project is appealable to the California Coastal Commission. And finally, the application was deemed complete on January 23rd, 2024, and the project planner is Glenn Gia. Glenn, do you want me to list your email address?
That's fine, yeah, it's in the agenda, so everyone can see it,
Okay, just process wise, you guys are familiar, as you've been here before, is we'll open it up with the opportunity for the applicant or the owner to give us a little presentation about the project and some of the changes. And then we will have some questions for you guys. We'll open it up to public comment, and then finally we'll have a discussion. And at the conclusion of this, we'll turn it back to you to see if you'd like us to vote on the item.
Yeah, and we may have an issue here, so Karen just asked that she can hear us, but it seems that we cannot hear her. So Karen, please speak and see if we can hear you.
Hi, everyone.
Oh,
Can
hi.
you hear me now? Okay, sorry about that. I made a change to my settings.
Yeah, sounds good. And would you like to give a brief presentation about the project to the group?
Sure. Are the cameras on, Glenn? I'm just seeing everyone's names. Is that all we're going to be able to see? Are you showing our drawings or should I share?
Yeah, please share.
Please share. Okay. Sure. Thank you for having us. As we heard, we were here in October, and I believe our project was well received. We made it through the planning commission. We've come back with just a slight, what we think is a slight change. And we're hoping you see that as well. What we've done is made a change to the overall height of the project. There really have been no major change to any of the siding, any of the materials. Excuse me. We've kept all of the design intent that was previously part of the project. We're hopeful that you'll agree that we're still within well within the max allowable height. We took into consideration all of the comments from the last design review, and we've implemented them. We believe that this change to the height really has very minimal impact due to the location of the home. We don't have neighbors to the east or to the north due to the location of the park. And we are hopeful that you still feel that this is a good project, that we will make it through this second round.
Okay, thank you. Does that include your presentation, Karen?
Yeah, I think so. It's very similar to, it's essentially the exact same design that we presented 2 months ago, with just a very minor addition of 9 inches to the height, so.
Thank you. I have one question.
Go for it.
Okay. So on sheet DR 3.1, that's page 12 plan. Oh, I guess, yeah. Yeah.
3.1.
Yeah, DR 3.1, the west elevation, it looks like there's a very, very small part that goes across the daylight plane. Can you explain the need to go past the daylight plane in that corner?
Yeah, so since we are a prefab manufacturer, we do have some limitations in how our steel structure is manufactured. So we tried to make the change to the ceiling heights that wouldn't encroach on the daylight plane. The way our model works, when we increase one module, we increase the other. So we do encroach by, I believe, I think it's 6 inches. So where this encroachment happens, as I said, is I believe it's facing an area that will never have neighbors. So we're hopeful that the articulation we've made on the elevations will be seen as an acceptable solution to that.
Let me just add something here. So that small encroachment, so it's based on the information shown on the daylight plane on the plans. So normally from a planning perspective, that's normally allowed. It's on case by case basis, but that small of an encroachment is usually allowed with no issues from planning.
Okay, and there's not a need for a variance on that.
We do not require variance. We have encountered like several similar situations. They do not require variance for any type of issues as long as they can properly justify it.
And they can comply by facade articulation or daylight plane.
Yeah, so yeah, they mentioned like some articulation, so that will help us make a favorable decision.
Okay, and I think I said there's two, and mostly because I think I missed it in your presentation, Karen. But can you just real briefly explain the need for the increase in property height again?
I missed that last part. Can we explain the increase in the
height? Yeah, just
the height?
Yeah, the design intent.
Sure. So previously, let's see, I think I have it. So we've increased our overall height to 22.8. I think previously we were at Um,
2110.
2110, thank you.
So is that just an increase in ceiling height on one floor or the other?
No, I think what I understood was these are prefab and
Yeah,
the height is set. And so in order to get it 10 inches lower, they're gonna have to go back to the manufacturer. Or excavate. Or, you know.
Well, what was?
Yeah, sorry, let's,
Yeah, let's let the.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, so we build with steel frame. Steel frame structure, so once we increase the height, it's set. So we've added 6 inches to the overall height on each floor.
you said once you increase the height, you have to increase all the modules, but what did you increase the height of?
For some reason, I'm losing the last part of your, what if we increase the what?
You increased the ceiling height on the first floor?
Mhm.
So proportionally the first and the second floor,
Both.
to that, is a miscalculation.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah,
just
that's
simply wanted to know what was
Yeah,
driving the
and then
change.
we realized we contacted Glenn because of the requirements, you know, if there's
Okay.
a change in ceiling or
Right, I
overall
know,
height.
3.5
Yeah,
inches brings it
yeah.
back to us.
Yeah,
So there's just an error in the math, the first one, and this is a correction.
yes.
Okay,
That's right, that's right.
okay.
That's a very
Um,
specific way of.
I have one clarifying question too, which, I know we talked about this last time, but now since you're back, I get to ask you again. On the east elevation, which is on page 12 of 32, I feel like the mechanical condensers, isn't that indicated as where the trash is on, I'm confused about whether that's where the trash is or where the condensers are. Because on the front, like on that side, is the trash enclosure on the east or the west? If you look at the south elevation, the previous sheet, it says trash screen.
So we have a screen for the trash here. Here are the condensers, and so we're imagining that the trash is it's here.
So that little wing wall is behind the trash cans? Screening them from the back, not the front?
I'm sorry, my arrows in the wrong spot. Excuse me. Let's see. Raphael, do we show the trash on any of our plans?
I guess on the front elevation, now I'm seeing that on page 11 of 32, it looks like the condensers sit in front of wherever the trash screen is. I guess where I'm going with this is, that I wonder if we could have an enclosure, a ventilated enclosure, if they require airflow around that whole thing. I think.
Or the condensers?
Yeah, when we were here last time, I took some issue with the flatness of that side, and it was all one material, and I believe.
That's
that
right.
to change it to put a second material on that side. I think that's right. That's a change that came out of our last meeting, yeah?
Yes, so that was the elevation that I think you had the most issue with.
And now that I see it rendered, it's two different materials, but when I see it on the rendering, it still looks very flat, which is kind of the issue that I raised in the last one, like we're gonna have two different materials on the side, how are you delineating between them? I'm not sure that it really feels more successful to me than what you had before, although either way, we're still wrestling with this facade not being very articulated. So my thinking was that if the entire facade, yeah, if it went back to the way it was, but there was but that material was reprised as a kind of a screen around those things, that might, and it wouldn't even have to be, it could just be between those windows, for example. It wouldn't have to be the whole thing. So I was trying to figure out where exactly the trash was, but, I think that might.
So last time we changed the material and we also lost this wall here, so this plan is pushed back.
Yeah, that's working for me. And I'm not, nothing I'm saying here, I think would rise to the level of more than a suggestion, but having asked you to do something and then since you happen to come back and now I think it's just
Sure.
very early on that we see it in the rendering. So this one I'm looking at here like that. It looks very applied. It looks kind of, the surfaces look more applied than if this were continuous wrapping around. So, I guess my feeling is that even though I asked for that, I don't think it's really an improvement, but that if this secondary material were used to create some kind of enclosure, that may actually be more successful.
Or do you feel if the first level is not that way?
We'll see that they have made the first material a different, the siding color too, right? If you go to sheet DRO1, and if you could zoom in on the rendering, which is kind of where we see that side best. I had asked before that natural wood material be brought onto that side, but it looks very flat and applied, so I'm now wondering whether that siding could be whatever they prefer, or if that siding went back to white, but there were enclosure like the fence, that could be breathable for the condensers. If the condensers and the trash could just be wrapped.
Well, let's, okay, yeah, you wanted,
Oh,
if that's a question to them?
yeah, sorry, we're still in questions. I'll save it for discussion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we definitely have flexibility with building something
Okay,
to enclose the condensers.
because I started with a question and then just started talking, so I apologize.
No problem.
No, you're right.
I can pull up basically I have the language from our.
Okay.
Item from October.
But in the meantime, we can see if there's community comments.
Yeah, I think that closes our questions here, and I'll just hand it over to Glenn for, I'll open up for comments.
Okay, sounds good. And we're now opening public comment for item number 2. No correspondence was received from the public prior to this meeting. For those attending this meeting in person, speaker forms are available in the rear. Please provide me with your speaker slip immediately. For those on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to raise your hand to speak on this agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Please provide your speaker form, raise your hand, or press *9 on your device immediately, and late speaker forms will not be accepted. When you hear your name or last 4 digits of your phone number called, I'll prompt you to come to the front or unmute your account and inform that you may begin speaking. I will then ask you to state your name for the record. For those joining by phone, pressing *6 will mute or unmute your microphone. As mentioned earlier in this meeting, please limit your speech to 3 minutes or less. I haven't received any speaker form. I don't see any members of the public from the audience. I'll provide a few more seconds just in case someone on Zoom may want to raise your hand to speak on this agenda item. I see no hands raised. Mark, please indicate if you'd like to close public comment for item number 2.
Yeah, let's close public.
Okay. Okay, discussion session.
Rebecca, I was gonna suggest, I think in general that increase in height, we're not really that, I'm not that concerned about it.
I'm not concerned about it either. I'm fine with increasing the height.
Okay, then if that's the case, I would suggest, I could go over the conditions that we talked about in October, because I think it touches upon that.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear the language we presented for the east elevation and just to quickly discuss the east elevation again, which now that I'm looking, I'm not sure that the rendering and the drawing are 100% consistent, which is fine. I think we should just focus on the east elevation.
Okay, yeah, and I guess I'll start off first off. Yeah, I looked at the conditions from the October meeting, and I was going to say I thought it was very successful in addressing those conditions. And the first one was really the 2-story courtyard perspective, which was now broken up, and now the garage is like it's a natural wood, or it's the brown. And it's not just 2 stories of white, so I thought that was a successful change. And then the language here for that east facing wall, I'll just go ahead and read it here. The east facing exterior wall of the first floor inset deck on the northeast corner to be replaced by wood panel wrapped support column in the northeast corner and opening to the east. This opening and change of material will add articulation to the formerly 40 feet 2-inch single plane east end of the two-story building. That was the language there. Yeah, I guess I'll just leave it as leaving off. Go
Okay.
through specifics about that remaining panel.
Yeah, and I just want to look at the rear elevation to see, so on the, sorry, were you gonna say something?
Just and one last point, and by the way, just, you know, the garages, the driveway widths are now 9 feet, but.
Oh, okay,
Maybe
thank
that
you.
changes.
So the rear, the north elevation at the northeast corner is wood siding on the first floor and metal siding on the second floor. And then as we come around to the east, it is if you could, yeah, I think we should look at these elevations. You see how the metal siding is horizontal? Is the metal siding horizontal everywhere and the wood siding vertical? Because there's a sign, there's an arrow that says wood siding pointing to more horizontal siding.
I'm sorry, this is a mistake. Yeah, the metal siding is always horizontal and wood siding is always
And wood
vertical.
siding is vertical. So the, okay, so the white is wrapping the corner. Okay, yeah, so
Yes, so this is metal, yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. No, so this does work for me. I would then just make a suggestion.
So this
Yeah,
needs to be
this is
vertical.
correct. No, I think this,
Sure.
this is correct. So this is wood and it comes around the back as wood and it wraps that corner as wood. So it's changing plane here, kind of wrapped around the corner at the line of the window.
Which.
I'm looking at VR 3.1.
Oh,
And I think that maybe the rendering just wasn't updated totally. I actually think that the east elevation, I am happy with that, or what was shown in the rendering. I would still make the suggestion that the condensers be enclosed with something similar to the front fencing or the siding, just to bring that, to shield those from view for the neighbors, and that's a high traffic pedestrian street in the front too, so. I was thrown off, the trash screen is way back here, thinking that it would be like, even if there were just a screen.
so you're looking for something.
Yeah, I think they should be screens.
Okay.
And, no, they won't.
Can we just like, so that trash screen, can we just move it to the front or just have two of them?
Yeah, you could move it to the front, or you could have two of them, or you could have it like L-shaped around. I just, I know that's a high traffic pedestrian street, by which I mean, it's on my run route, so.
Welcome to Miramar Restaurant.
Yeah, I run by your house regularly, and, yeah, I think that those should be screened, and that that's an opportunity to just bring that wood around, and I'm fine with that being a suggestion, it just seems like.
Yeah, if we, sorry, I allowed to speak now.
Right,
If
you've got
we,
language in the front anyway,
yeah, if we did something in the same languages as,
just bring those around the condensers so that they're not visible on the street, and I think
I think that's a very good idea.
height is
Thank
No.
you.
So just to summarize, what we're looking to do is not have any conditions, but have a recommendation to include screening of the condenser units on the east elevation. Is that right?
yes, the east.
With that in mind, I'll hand it back over to the owners of Hopkins to see if you would like us to move forward with a motion.
Yeah, I would like you to move on.
Okay.
Sure, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project with the recommendation to screen the condensers and the conditions. You want that definition?
No.
Okay.
The recommendation's fine.
Okay.
I second that motion.
Okay, so I'll do a roll call. Rebecca Getkin,
Yes.
Mark Lee.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Congratulations. Yeah, we still need a planning commission hearing, so please work with me. So I will put it on schedule as soon as possible. So please know that it may be like a few weeks back. But yeah, we'll do it as soon as possible. Hopefully now is February, hopefully to do it in late March, hopefully, that's like on the like more possible side.
So we March deadline.
Huh? Yeah, say more conservative, I would say April, like early April and in April. Yeah, okay, congratulations again.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for
Okay.
coming
Okay,
back.
thank you for your time. Appreciate
To
it.
everyone, and last thing to do, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
Adjourn?
Okay, yeah, I'm actually not ready to adjourn. It's just a really minor.
Oh, sure.
So just, maybe it's a language thing, but
Yeah.
this motion said, or this item says, this is a consideration to make a recommendation for a major modification to the previously approved project. I think that language is a little awkward. It makes it sound like, I thought it was gonna be reviewing like a totally different.
Anytime the height increases 3.5
Yeah.
inches, they call it a major mod.
Yeah, that's according to our demonstration scale policy,
Yeah.
so it doesn't, I mean.
Interesting, okay.
That's why they have to come back, otherwise
Yeah.
they wouldn't have to come back.
When it's a minor modification, that means that's something. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, my.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At my level, major means it needs to go back to DRT.
Okay.
Yeah,
The technical.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that just, that
unfortunately.
term just a little, it's
Okay.
a little off to me.
So
So,
then second closing. the meeting.
okay, roll call then, Rebecca Henkin,
Yes.
James Bennington,
Yeah, sure.
Mark Stagmeyer,
Yes.
Mark Dean.
Yes.
Okay, great, meeting adjourned. Thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye, April.
Bye.